Great.
Cool. So take it away.
Okay, so hi guys, and welcome to, this was just kind of an impromptu Friday night webinar, and what we wanted to do is we had a couple of people, actually one person that created some profiles and got her account restricted, and what they did is they sent her to this user agreement, refer to the user agreement. This is why you got your account restricted, some element of it. And Lee and I were talking about that and thought it would be a really good idea just to go over it and just kind of go over what is urban legend and what is truth and what we have to do to kind of stay off of LinkedIn's naughty list. Now, there are some things that LinkedIn is inconsistent. Now, this particular person had, I believe, the same thing that I have in my heading in my profile, and I haven't gotten slapped, but immediately she did, and so I think that one of the things that we have to be aware of is there's really no rhyme or reason. If LinkedIn does this randomly, in terms of checking, or if it's when a profile gets brand new and gets, just started, do they check and stuff like that. So what I wanted to do is I went through and I looked at this, the user agreement, which they recently changed it. It was a little bit more tedious than it is now. It's a lot more simpler, and what I wanted to do is just kind of go over it with you all, and at the bottom there's some do's and don'ts, and then we can talk about afterwards what are some workarounds. What their terms of service are pretty clear, and some of the things I agree with and some of them I don't. Some of them I have workarounds for. This is like at your own discretion, okay? So I'm just going to kind of go through it. And this is good for you guys to know for your clients as well. So as you start to get clients and they ask questions and stuff like that, or they might come into a situation where they get slapped by LinkedIn or something as a result of something they did inadvertently, completely innocently, then you'll have an answer for them. So really one of the things, so I'm just going to kind of go through, this first section here just defines the purpose. Section 1.2 just says that whenever you join with LinkedIn, this is actually like a legal binding agreement. Okay, and LinkedIn they have a couple of companies, as I talk about, SlideShare, LinkedIn, and LinkedIn Pulse, and then they have some coverage in the event. They define, if you're in the United States, it's going to be with LinkedIn Corporation. If you are really anywhere else, then it's going to be LinkedIn Ireland. Okay, so they just say that this includes the user agreement and privacy policy, and then they just kind of go on. This is really like legal mumbo jumbo. Okay, and then in terms of like the obligations, this is pretty much you've got to be 18 years old, and then they mention some stuff. So if you're, I think in the United States you're 18, and then for China it's 16 years old, and then they have, oh, it's 14 years old for the U.S., excuse me. So they kind of define all of these ages of how old you can be in order to join LinkedIn. Okay, and so after they talk about your membership, and then your membership is, you can't really share your password with anybody. You agree to kind of keep your password to yourself. Keep a password, have a password that's strong enough, and then they'll further define it in the do's and don'ts. Okay, so it's pretty much pretty cut and dried. Here they talk about, okay, if you have, like, say, a recruiter seat, you work for a recruiter company, a headhunting firm or something like that, then whoever purchased that premium service for you actually owns your account, and they can terminate your access to it. So this just kind of defines your membership and who it belongs to. 2.3 refers to payment. I'm not going to go into the payment. And then it says, kind of how they take payment, and, they can cancel services and your subscription and stuff like that. Now, this talks about how LinkedIn can communicate with you. So it says you agree that we may provide notices to you in the following ways, so we can provide a banner notice. So sometimes if you log in and they've made some changes, you might see something at the top of your screen. It says that, you know, yeah, we can communicate you like that, you know, with that banner ad, that little banner ad. And it also says, you know, just keep your contact information up to date. So this is really like a legal binding, you know, kind of a contractual agreement between you and LinkedIn. Okay, and then it says that you can go into these accounts and then you can limit the type of messages you receive. And I went into that in some of my different trainings where you can go up here, go to your privacy settings and manage your communications from LinkedIn. Okay, to where you're not getting them as much and you might get them, you know, once in a while, that type of thing. So this talks about messages and sharing, and it, you know, as it says here, we allow messaging and sharing of information in many ways, like your profile, a slide deck, so you can have a PowerPoint, news articles, job postings, blogs, emails. Any information and content that you share or post may be seen by other members or if public by visitors. Where we have made settings available, we will honor the choices you make. So if you wanted to shut down your settings a little bit and kind of close them in a little bit, you can do that again in your settings right here. By doing things like limiting your profile visibility, stuff like that. And then this talks about your licensing with LinkedIn. So this is kind of interesting because what they're saying is that you own the content that you post on, you know, basically like your LinkedIn blog and stuff like that. You can copy, modify, distribute, publish, process, all of that stuff. However, there are limits to this kind of license of this content that you own. So you can basically delete the content, and if you delete the content, except for what you shared with others, then basically, like it says here, it can be copied or stored for a reasonable time it takes to remove it from backup systems. They won't include your content and advertisements for products or services without a specific, you know, consent from you. So they're not going to take your content and say, oh, I'm going to use that for marketing, anything like that. So that's, you know, that's kind of interesting. It says we will get your consent if you want to give others the rights to publish your posts beyond the service. However, other members or visitors may access and share your content and information. So it's given others permission to share the information in so much as how you have your settings and the level of connections you have with them. Okay, it says that they can make edits to your information. They can make formatting changes, translation changes, layout, things like that to fit into their specific format, but they're not going to modify the intent or the meaning of the content. Okay, and it says because you own your content and we only have non-exclusive rights to it, you may choose to make it available to others, including under the terms of a Creative Commons license. And I don't know if you guys are familiar. Are you guys familiar with Creative Commons?
Let's see if you guys understand, or if you don't understand that, just say no. We have enough no's to where it probably needs explaining.
Okay, okay. Creative Commons is kind of cool. I'm going to go ahead and go here. I'm actually going to go to Google and do Creative Commons. And what that is it gives you license for some different things. I actually use it for graphics and stuff like that. It's free, open source content, basically. And if you go to, it's creativecommons.org, you can do a search. Okay, and this is nice if you want to look for, I use it for graphics and some, you know, some video stuff. So you see here, it'll search Flickr, it'll search all these different sites, and what you want is you want something that you can use for commercial purposes and you can modify. Okay, and so what that'll do, like if we go to Google Images and I say I want something like an airplane. Okay, something, an airplane, a picture of an airplane. I'm going to go to Google Images, something that I can modify and tweak, So they'll go ahead and they'll pull up a bunch of stuff, and you have like YouTube videos and stuff like that you can kind of tear apart and modify and stuff. So what LinkedIn is saying here is, not to get off the tangent of Creative Commons, but you do own the content and information, and LinkedIn has, kind of these non-exclusive, they don't have exclusive rights to it. So they don't have free form and license to do anything they want to it. And because you own it, you can make it available to others. So you have a little bit of control, including putting it under the Creative Commons license where other people can use it freely. Okay, you agree that we may access, store, and use any information that you provide in accordance with, basically LinkedIn's terms, privacy settings, and the privacy policy. If you submit suggestions or any feedback to LinkedIn, LinkedIn can use and share that feedback for any reason. And you'll see where people will submit help questions and stuff like that, and they're basically open to the public. So LinkedIn can use that, and that's what they're saying, that, hey, if you, basically put in a support question or something, submit to help, we can use that information. Okay, and it says here, you agree to provide content that does not violate any law nor anyone's rights. Okay, so it's kind of like the information that you put on LinkedIn has to be something that you either have permission to use, you created yourself. It can't be, someone's content that they own that they did not give you permission to use. Okay, and so under 3.2, they can basically modify services, modify prices. They, can change their service at any time. So what that means basically is you may have a functionality in LinkedIn and they take it away, or you may see a brand new functionality that they've just incorporated, or they may raise their prices. Okay. Let me see, this is about others' content. Do we have any questions so far?
Not about that, but let me just announce something, because I've had a
Uh-huh.
whole bunch of folks ask me if this is being recorded, and if so, where will it be? I think everybody on here at least purchased LinkedIn Hero, and that gives you the right to be in the LinkedIn Hero Facebook group. Not all of you are, but what we're going to do with this recording, I mean, it's not a paid for recording, it's just something that Gloria and I decided to do to help you out. So we're going to upload it to YouTube, and then we will have the link. I will put the link in the Facebook group for LinkedIn Hero. Now, if you're not in that Facebook group, and Rick, I just checked, you're not in there, you need to do the following. You need to friend me on Facebook. So I'm typing in the chat how to do that, facebook.com Lee Cole online. So go there and friend me. Then send me a message and say, hey Lee, bought LinkedIn Hero, I'd like to be in the Facebook group. I mean, it's a cool group, so you need to be in there. And then you will have access to a link to the YouTube video when I put it up there. Okay? Cool. Carry on.
Okay.
Just a little housekeeping.
Yep, no worries. So 3.3 talks about third-party content and third-party sites, and really what this is saying is that LinkedIn doesn't really check the content. Typically, it says, generally speaking, we're not going to check the content to see if it's illegal, harmful, offensive, or anything like that. You agree that if you put that kind of junk up on your, either on a blog post, an update, or in your profile, that LinkedIn isn't responsible for it. Okay, and then the second paragraph is really talking specifically about apps that link to LinkedIn, and you've got like you've got Google Chrome apps that'll link to LinkedIn. You've got, mobile apps that will link to LinkedIn. You've got a bunch of email providers that will link to LinkedIn. And what they're saying is that if you decide to do that and allow a third-party app to basically access and connect with your LinkedIn account, that application can access information related to you and your connections. Okay, and so that's, basically if you say if you integrate Gmail or Yahoo Mail or something, or Outlook with LinkedIn, then you know you are giving away some of your access to your connections, that you have give permission to do that. Let's see, for 3.4 limits, LinkedIn can limit basically your profile. And it specifies here number of connections, your ability to contact other members. They can restrict, suspend, or terminate your account if they believe that you're in breach of this entire agreement. LinkedIn reserves all of its intellectual property rights in the services, and they define, kind of like the LinkedIn logo, the SlideShare logo, and I think the Pulse logo. Those are trademarks of LinkedIn's, and they're basically protected. So that's kind of what they're saying. Okay. And then this is kind of, no warranty. They're not making any warranty or anything of that nature. And then, let me see, exclusion of liability. This is just kind of legal mumbo jumbo. It basically says that, unless we have entered into a separate written agreement that supersedes this agreement, basically, they're not going to hold any, they're not going to be held liable for any damages or punitive damages or anything like that. This is typical legal language. LinkedIn or you, so this is kind of a two-way termination. You guys can each terminate at any time without notice with one another, and it kind of defines some of this. So it's a, if you decide I don't want to use LinkedIn anymore, I can just, just get rid of my account, and they can do the same thing to you. Okay, and then this just kind of says, in terms of dispute resolution, if you have an issue, the laws of the state of California and the United States apply. And then this is talking about, if it goes to basically kind of to court. So, and the enforcement of this. And the most important part to me are the do's and the don'ts, because it kind of specifies, you agree that you're going to comply with all applicable laws, you're going to provide accurate information to LinkedIn and keep it updated, you're going to use your real name on your profile, use the services in a professional manner. So it kind of gives you some guidelines. And what is interesting, okay, I'm going to go ahead and read these don'ts. Don't act unprofessionally or dishonestly. Don't post inappropriate, inaccurate, or objectionable content. Don't add any content that's not intended for, or add any content that's inaccurate for a designated field. So this is kind of, and this is some of the things that we do that LinkedIn doesn't like. Like if I'm going to go, I'll go over here to my profile, and what they're talking about here is to, if it's your name field, you're only supposed to put your name. Don't put your phone number in your name field. And that's where I think the gal got in trouble with this situation, is she had, not only something else, but she actually had, I think LinkedIn something in here. So really, this is in violation of their terms of service. They usually don't slap you for this because they kind of like that, if you're an open connector, it's all about connecting. They want you to kind of stay on. But what they're saying is this is against the terms of service. And what I would probably recommend, and for one of my workarounds for this, what I would do is I would go ahead and I'm starting a whole new profile in our coaching session. Sorry about, that's my dog. He's playing with a squeaky toy. Sorry about that. So what I recommend is let's go ahead and just start kind of initially, you let your profile kind of mature for about a good, I don't know, 5, 7, 10 days, something like that, and do it in a little bit of phases. Don't be in such a rush to get everything up and running. So what I'm going to do with my second profile is I'm going to go ahead and have my name here. I won't put Lion yet because right now it doesn't have any connections. And then when I build out my profile, I'll get up to like, I don't know, probably 100 connections, and then I'll put Lion in there. And then I probably will be able to get away with other stuff as well. Okay, so that's kind of a little mini workaround for that, don't. It says don't use a picture that is not, you, basically. All right, so they really want a headshot in your profile. Now, they also don't want you to create a false identity on LinkedIn, but there's nothing here that says you cannot have more than one profile. So if you have more than one kind of career field, as long as the information is accurate and correct, then you're really not against these new terms of service. So that's kind of the good news, okay? But you want to do it kind of smartly. Don't misrepresent, who you are and what you do. Don't misrepresent any affiliations with anybody. If you're not a movie star, don't say you're a movie star, that type of thing. Okay, it says don't misrepresent your identity, including but not limited to the use of a pseudonym. Okay, and I take pseudonym to mean a fake name. All right, now if you're kind of known or have different variations of your name, I don't see where that is considered a pseudonym or a nickname or something like that. You can go ahead and use that. That's not a problem. Okay, don't create a member profile for anyone other than yourself, a real person, basically. So you don't want to, basically they don't want any fake profiles. Don't invite people you do not know to join your network. Now, I definitely don't agree with this because LinkedIn is all about connections, and there's, tons of groups with open connectors, Lions, LinkedIn open networkers, all that type of stuff. Okay, so I think it's all about connecting, and as long as you have people that are open to connecting with you, you can actually make some really good connections and relationships with people that you've met through LinkedIn and you did not know previously. And I think Lee and I can both attest to that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole idea of linking to people that you don't know is, I mean, that's just kind of stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
otherwise you would just, I mean, why would you do that? How would that build out your network? That would be like going to a Chamber of Commerce meeting and only being able to talk to the people that you already knew before you went in. That's just a giant CYA for them because, just where they can say, well, we're going to limit you, but we're not going to limit you. So basically, if you all go about this with some common sense, you should be fine. And, I mean, my God, I have certainly put LinkedIn through the paces in so many different ways for the past several months.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
exactly.
So, and the only time I ever got any warning at all was when I was connecting to 100 people, second-tier connections a day, and I did that, what, Gloria, I think I was about for a week and a half or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then I mean, they didn't limit anything. They just said, you shouldn't be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I dropped it back down to 50, and I've been at 50 ever since. And that's just fine.
You've been okay. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I think that is just. I think it is a CYA, and it doesn't make any sense to me. Definitely not. It just. Why would you want to network and grow your network and grow relationships and meet people that you don't know? Why wouldn't you want to do that? Why doesn't LinkedIn want you to do that? So it's kind of silly to me. Don't, use or attempt to use another person's account. Basically, this is talking, I believe, within the context of, like hacking into somebody's account and then sending messages from that account, stuff like that. Don't harass people, don't harass your network or harass your connections on LinkedIn. Don't send spam or other unwelcome communication to others. And that's kind of why I really recommend doing it the way that I that I teach, where you're building out, you're turning a cold connection into a warm, a warm connection to a warm lead. And you do that, just like if you were at a Chamber of Commerce meeting, what are you going to do? The best way to really get to know people is not just to go around and, kind of, spamming them in person, right? Just, here's what I do, and try to do a hard sell. If you need my services, give me a call or something. Like, I guess you could do that, but that's not the best way to network, trust me. So really, the don't spam, they're not really into spam. Now, scrape or copy profiles and information of others through any means, including crawlers, browsers, plugins, add-ons, and any other technology or manual. Now, this is actually kind of interesting because we have some software, and this is the way that I feel about the software, and this particular little don't right here is LinkedIn is a huge data warehouse, and they have got all of this data that they're aggregating on all of us about a bunch of stuff, not only where we live, our email, phone numbers, contact information, websites, Twitter accounts, any other things we share with them, any company pages, connections, information on our profile, hobbies, interests, birthdays, things like that. It's a huge data aggregator, and they use that data to really basically market to us. Now, they're not as aggressive at it as like Facebook is, but they're starting to do that with, like, the LinkedIn ads and stuff like that. And a big part of LinkedIn still is the employment piece, where recruiters use LinkedIn. They'll try, a lot of companies are advertising, looking for basically some good candidates that they want to work for them. So you'll see recruitment ads. I see recruitment ads all the time, even though, like, I'm not looking for a job. So they are using the data that they aggregate. They're kind of scraping it and organizing it, and they're, putting advertising on our profiles, and we log in on our homepage and stuff like that. I don't have a problem using that data. I don't know how any of you guys feel, or how you feel, Lee.
No, I'm fine. Basically, I mean, you said they're not as aggressive as Facebook. They also sell data, which is something that we never see.
That's right.
Just because you don't see it when you log into LinkedIn does not mean they're not making money off of it. I mean, LinkedIn's a huge corporation. They're selling all this stuff to businesses. And, I understand it. I mean, look, they've got millions of users. They don't want some, computer genius to go in there and just suck up all their data and then sell it to businesses. But, using a little automation, which is replacing, look, I could easily hire another. It also says, frankly, and that's maybe not there. There are two places where it talks about this. It also says you can't scrape data manually.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, well, that's
Manual
utterly
work,
stupid, because,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
what does that even mean? So that, I mean, just pushed to the nth degree, that means that I can't get on there, find the vice president of marketing at some business that I want to that I want to call up and sell some stuff to, and I can't get his phone number, because that is scraping data manually. So, that's really not the intent of it. The intent of it is not to control people scraping, 25 or 50 little pieces of data a day. The intent of it is for someone not to be able to write an entire, system of crawlers that would just go there and just suck up all their data. And then LinkedIn went to all the trouble to aggregate all that, to build the platform to get all that data, and then somebody else sucks it up and sells it to somebody else. That I understand. The intent is never to, the intent is never to keep people from using LinkedIn the way we do. Having said that, I mean, you can just just get so OCD about everything that you will actually never do anything online. So if that's you, said with love, you should just quit. Okay.
Yeah, because this could paralyze you if you kind of went to the letter of this. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, basically, and if I owned LinkedIn, I would have it written like that too. Because if, there was somebody that's in the gray area, I would want my lawyers to be able to, decide that, hey, let's go after that person and sue them and, blah, blah, blah for whatever. And I mean, I would want to be able to say, well, in my terms of service, you can't do any of this, and you agreed to it when when you got involved. But I mean, taken to the nth degree, you can't even get somebody's phone number off of there, which is
Yeah.
obviously stupid because that's what it's for. Just like,
Exactly.
it says you can't reach out to people you don't know. I mean, how is that defined? Like, that
Right.
would mean you could never grow your network. Well, obviously that's not true because there are thousands of people on there with networks in the thousands, and I can guarantee you that they didn't know thousands of people before they got on LinkedIn. LinkedIn
Exactly.
is not just a virtual business card database for people that you already know. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have a few
Okay.
things.
Couple questions.
Yeah. I mean, y'all got to figure out where you stand on this. I was actually talking with someone else about this, Steve Rosenbaum,
Hmm.
yesterday, and
Hmm.
to my mind, there are three things going on here when you're talking about the bot LinkedIn TOS issue. There are three things going on here. There's one, is it an ethical or a moral issue? I'm an
Hmm.
Eagle Scout, and Glory will attest to this. If it's an ethical or moral issue, I just will say, nope, not going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely. Me
but,
too. Yeah.
but, yeah, ditto you, right? Which is one
Hmm.
reason that we work so well together.
Hmm.
But one of the many. But is this an ethical or moral issue? I don't think so. I am a capitalist. I'm a free market capitalist, but I'm not going to let some corporation just tell me what I can do just because they decide that that's in their interest and not in my interest. I mean, that's just
Hmm.
stupid. The other thing is the real issue to my mind is if you do stuff like this, not if you have a giant supercomputer with a massive program and you suck all of the data out of LinkedIn. That I
Hmm.
would see as a moral issue.
Hmm.
But just,
And you're selling
intelligently,
that data, like
yeah, and you're
list.
selling
Yeah.
that data. I mean, that's
Yeah.
obviously a moral issue or an ethical
Hmm.
issue. I mean, but I mean, I could hire somebody in the Philippines to just sit around and do what my software does.
I
And
did
it would
that.
cost, yeah,
This
you
was
did
two
that.
years ago.
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
did
yes, you,
that.
you, you did that. And, it
Exactly.
says you can't do that either, but that's
Hmm.
stupid. Or I
Hmm.
could hire myself to do it, which means that I would have to sit on my rear end in front of my computer for several hours a day and do it myself. Now that would be wasting a lot of money, because I got a high dollar per hour value. So,
Right.
but it says I can't do that either.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think that the so there's the ethical issue, and I think sometimes people get all balled up, with well, Google said or LinkedIn said or YouTube said. Okay, fine, they said, they own the ball game. They can make the rules, right? But it's not a
Hmm.
moral or ethical issue unless you're using that to make money. In other words, to compete with them to make money out of their product, which is that information, which we're not doing.
Hmm.
Then there's the issue, the totally practical issue of, will I lose my account? See, or would my account get limited, or would I lose my
Hmm.
account? Or if I do this for a client, would I jeopardize their account? That's really where the issue is, I think, personally. And I think it was John or somebody a little earlier said, so what should we do? And John, if it wasn't you, I apologize. And if it's somebody else, my bad. But what should we do with new accounts? Well, the thing is, you want the new account to grow like a real human being's new account would. Now, having said that, Lee Cole manually sitting on his rear end in front of a computer got spanked by LinkedIn. It's back in June, I think,
Hmm.
because I
Hmm.
was manually pushing the envelope too much. So really this issue that we're talking about has zero to do with software and really just has to do with how aggressively you're using LinkedIn. So
Right.
as long as you're um, doing this in a way that an intelligent human being would do this, who is building out their business account, whether you're doing this for a client or you're doing this for yourself, then you're going to be fine. How do I know you're going to be fine? Because I've done this a bunch on a bunch of different accounts. I own more than one account.
Hmm.
Um, So would you have a brand new account with 0 connections and then suddenly use software to start connecting with a bunch of people per day? I would, but I would start at about 5 a day because that makes sense. Or I might do it manually for 2 or 3 days just to kind of get the flow and stuff like that. And then I would do 5 a day. And then, within a few days, I build myself up to 50 a day.
Yeah, and what I think the issue is if you have a brand new account and boom, the profile's up, and then you start sending these requests to thousands of people or
Right.
something like that using LinkedIn Hero. That brings up a red flag. But what I'm suggesting is that you curate the account just a little
Yeah,
bit,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
I have not seen a problem with an account that's not new. I mean, I only saw this one issue, and so what I would recommend is what you would do, like if it was for a client's account, is go ahead and if it's a brand new account, then curate it a little bit.
Yeah.
So maybe do their profile, don't do the connections, let it sit and simmer for a day or two. Then what I would probably do is I would go ahead and have them join a bunch of Open Connector and Lion groups.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can always remove them. After you're kind of done with this deal, is to go ahead and have them join, and
Yeah.
then let it simmer. And then start sending out connections, and then probably within 2 or 3 days you're going to be fine to do the Open Connector massive thing.
Gloria,
You're
we
perfectly fine. I have
started
never had a problem.
we started that Arlie Cole account, my other
Yeah.
account. And I mean, started that, did the profile, and we were doing it manually with some tricks that we have. But I mean, within a few days, that thing was up to 500 plus connections and had zero
Yep.
problems with it. And
Yep,
that's my
exactly.
name, and it's got my picture, and it actually, it's got more or less a duplicate history of me. I mean, it's not an avatar. It's not some fiction or something like that. I mean, it's just that we needed it focused towards something else, and nothing happened with that. So
Yeah, I would say just to be on the air on the side of just to be a
yeah,
little bit safe and conservative, curate it just for a couple of days. I think you're going to be fine doing that. Just set it up, do it like if you would think about normally what would happen. A normal person is going to get their account. They'll probably upload a picture, work on their profile, and then start with some connections a little bit slowly. They're not
yeah,
going to like all of a sudden get
right,
5,000 connections or something like that,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
it'll kind of grow, and then it can grow rapidly if it's curated just a little bit. They're going to join a bunch of Open Connector and Lion groups. They can then put Lion in their name or whatever in their profile, and I think you'll be fine. I never this one gal, she had an issue, and I'd never seen that issue, and I'm kind of wondering if it was I didn't ask, was this a brand new account? Because I know I worked on her other account a while ago, and we
mhm,
never had an issue with mega
right,
invites
yeah,
before.
right, yeah. So all of that. John has it's a related question.
Uh-huh.
And it's about how it says that you can't create a member profile for anyone other than yourself. John, that's another thing that's written in a very, very restrictive way. I mean, if you think about it, what that would mean is that the CEO of IBM has to create his own LinkedIn account, and I can guarantee you that he didn't. I don't know that for sure, but you understand where I'm going with that. I mean, busy people do not have time to sit around and create junk like this. I mean,
Yeah, and
they, they got flunkies that do it.
Exactly. And if you were looking at some of the other stuff within the context of it, it was, like for like a false account. Don't
Right. Yeah.
impersonate, kind of like don't impersonate somebody else, that type of thing. But certainly, if you have someone's permission, then there's nothing wrong with doing this as a service.
Right.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, any other questions before we move on and finish up with these terms of
No.
service? And then I have a couple of other workarounds and some safety notes for you guys to do.
Georg, you need to friend me on Facebook. We're talking about getting in the Facebook LinkedIn Hero group. Let me send him the while I got him here in the thing.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, in doing somebody's profile, a client's profile, I delivered within 48, depending on how busy I was. I would do a minimum time for a quick turnaround would be 48 hours. And then sometimes, it would be up to 4 or 5 days depending on how busy I am. So it is not unreasonable for someone to pay you for services and then to say, you'll have your brand new profile in, 3 to 5 days. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that at all. As a matter of fact, there's nothing wrong with saying that you're going to get it in any amount of time. I mean, the trick is to say, well, if this is Monday, you're going to get it by 2 Wednesdays from now, and then you get it to them this Thursday. So you look like a genius. You give yourself plenty of time, plenty of padding. And that's a nice trick. And all services is promise it's going to get there like twice as long as it's really going to take. And then instead of looking like you screwed up, you look like my God, what customer service, right? Chuck has some comments/questions. He's asking about another automated system. Chuck, I'm not going to just yell out the name of it for obvious reasons, just because I don't want to hate on somebody else's thing that I don't really know about that much. But they have you send out 100 emails per day reaching out to connect with one sentence about your services. That's not, okay, I got several things to say about that. One, to my mind, 100's too many. Okay, how do I know that? Because when Gloria taught me about LinkedIn and it turned around for me and became it's like a freaking lead machine for so much for me. It's crazy how well it works. I was like doing 40 new connects a day, 50 new connects a day. And then, me, I'm thinking, oh, well, let's just push this puppy as far as it'll go, right? 60 a day, 70 a day, 80 a day, 90 a day, 100 a day. And I did 100 a day for about 10 days. And that's when LinkedIn said, basically they just said, you just can't continue doing that. We're going to limit your account. And then I dropped it back down to, I think 40 or 50 a day. And I've stayed at 50 a day ever since and not had any trouble. So I don't know definitively. I don't know if there's some mathematical proof somewhere that says that you can do 100 a day, but Lee Cole can't do 100 a day, and Lee Cole's not going to tell anybody to do 100 a day because I did, and I got spanked. So that's on the 100 a day thing. I think that's too many. If they're telling you to use that service and send out, he says send out with one sentence about your services, like it's I'm Chuck and I do yada yada, and if you're interested, call me. That's borderline spam to my mind.
Yeah, that's the type of stuff that's a turn
spam.
off. It is kind of a turn off, and that's why we do. It's a couple more steps involved, and what we say is step one is you just do the generic. So I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn. Just leave it at that, and then you're an open connector, they're an open connector. If they understand open connections, which most of them do, then you're going to be fine, and then they'll make the connection. And then, what typically happens is they'll check out your profile, then they'll connect or not connect with you, or once they connect with you, you'll check out their profile, look for some comment, just to start that conversation going. See if there's any way you guys can refer each other business, talk about business, something like that. Like I had got a question, I think it was in the Facebook group, where someone had noticed, I just connected with somebody and noticed that they, only had X amount of connections or something like that. Should I offer them LinkedIn services? I said, I wouldn't recommend that right away. What I would do is I would probably just send them a really non-threatening message to say something like, how glad we're connected. How do you like LinkedIn? And I've started a lot of it like that. How do you like using LinkedIn? You know, when I was more aggressive in my marketing before I got so busy, and I would get responses back for, those that wanted to carry a conversation on, and it would be, doing that like with, I don't know, probably 20 minutes a day, I could easily get 1 to 2 people on the phone, just dedicating 20 minutes a day
Yeah.
to something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah, I
just
mean,
doing it
you can
right.
easily do that. And the thing is, when you get them
Yeah.
on the phone, they've read your profile, they have some degree of familiarity with you, a little bit at least.
Yeah.
You know, they feel like they got a little relationship. It's not just a cold call, it's kind of a semi-warm call. So,
That's exactly what happens.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, just to give you all an example, for another thing that Gloria and I do, I decided to go back through all my 3,000 first-tier LinkedIn connections and invite everybody, not all 3,000 at once, obviously, but X number per day, right? Invite everybody to a webinar. So I did that, and I started out today, and I had, I'm just sort of building up to this, but these are all first-tier connections, so either they invited me or I invited them at some point in the past, and probably they've had another message from me, because usually when you get, not always, but usually when I get an invite, it's been a little busy lately with all you guys, so if you didn't see this, that's just the way it is. But usually when you get an invite, what I do is I accept the invite, and then I message the person and say, hey, just accepted your invite. Thank you so much. Tell me a little bit more about you and what you do for a living, because I'm trying to start a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a good tidbit there. That's a really, really good thing to do. It doesn't take but about 4 nanoseconds to do that. And you get a lot of mileage out of that. So these people, they don't know me. Some of them do, some of them don't, but they can check, yeah, he's a first-tier connection. They can look at messages. Yeah, I, did, message that guy at least once, back in the day. I mean, it's at some point, whether it was yesterday or 4 months ago, I don't know. But anyway, and the message that I send is kind of sort of mild. I might tone it down a little bit. I'm kind of working on it. But at about a 12% success rate, Gloria, with that. I just calculated that in my head. I think it's like 12 or 13%.
Yeah,
In other
that's
words,
actually not bad.
it's not bad for something like that, for somebody who doesn't truly know me. So, Chuck, I think that's more of the pattern there. Instead of just cold messaging somebody, just people 100 a day and expecting to get something out of that besides getting your account shut down, I think reaching out, messaging, have them accepting, or if they reached out to you, then accept, so at least get one message going back and forth, and then a very mild message, which is kind of like, hey, this is what I do for a living. If you're interested in this, and then whatever your next step is, check out my webpage, be happy to hop on the phone with you. In my case, it's, we're having a webinar about yada yada. Go here. It was a squeeze page that they went to register for the webinar. But see, if you do that, I think you're going to have a whole lot more success. So again, I can't say that they're wrong, but I can say that this is the way Gloria and I do it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and it's successful. It works. So it's like we're not gonna, we're not gonna change it. So okay, so moving on,
well,
and just kind of.
Hang on, we got a few more
sorry.
questions.
Okay, sure.
Lyle has, yeah, we should help Lyle understand this. So Lyle says, so we shouldn't use Hero on a new account, correct? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, what I would recommend, just to be safe and probably to be truthful with you, I don't know, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, 3-4 months ago. I had never, in the 2 years that I've been doing this, in the all of the profiles that I've done for people, and I used to have a list of open connectors. Actually, I still have that list, and it's clean. I clean it and maintain it, and it's about 3,000 emails, and what I do is I would go ahead and I would mass upload them. So like I would take your account and I would do that right away. I'd go to connections, and let me show you where I would do it. And I did it all at once. I did this to all of my clients, and just, you know, clients, friends, and family, everybody that needed a LinkedIn account. And what would happen is there were really no issues basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
That's basically all Hero really does is automate that process.
that's exactly right. That's all it really does. So I would go here to add connections, and I would upload them via, you know, email. Basically, I would do 3,000 at a time, and never, ever, ever had a problem. So I'd go here, email, and then just copy and paste all of the emails by individual email. And then I would just copy and paste in this box all 3,000 and just send invitations all at once. It's kind of what LinkedIn Hero does. But now, since I had heard that one gal that had gotten, you know, one of her accounts restricted, I'm saying let's, you know, I would recommend at this point just err on the side of being a little bit conservative. I'd rather play it safe and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm really curious, as this is something I did not ask, is, you know, was this a situation where it was a brand new account where you kind of did, yeah, so that's why I'm saying, you know, just to be safe, curate the account just a little bit, make it look naturally. Like if you got your account initially, you know, the first thing you're going to is probably upload your photo and do a little bit with your profile, and then, you know, you might join a couple of groups, and then you'll start to do connections, and then it can build up rather quickly after that. Well, like I said, it's a couple-day process. It's not like, you know, months or anything.
Yeah, let's think through this a little more carefully, because if you're doing this for a client that you got off LinkedIn, then they obviously have an account. Otherwise, you wouldn't have got them off LinkedIn, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Now, most of the accounts that I see, most of the people who are failing on LinkedIn, they still have 80, 90, 100 connections.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so there's something going on there. That I would not, you know, unless they did that yesterday. And you can look, you know, just see, you know, approximately, you know, or just ask them if they're a client. Well, when did you get on? Was it yesterday, or was it, you know, 6 months ago, or was it 3 years ago? Most of them got on a while back. They just don't know what to do with it. And that I wouldn't worry about with Hero at all. I mean, that makes total sense. But if you're going to create a brand new account from the get-go, brand new account, new picture, new profile, and then do Hero, I would let that sit around for a few days. And I would probably manually connect with some people. But Gloria, I really can't see, unless you're creating a new account like we created a new account for me because we needed to appeal to a whole different group, unless you're doing that for yourself, I really don't see anybody hiring you to create a brand new account.
Right.
I mean, I could be wrong. I just don't see that as that big of a deal. I see the majority of, when you're doing this for a third party, I think they already got an account and it's probably already been there for a while. They're just failing at LinkedIn.
And I remember with your other account, what you did is you created it, and it was, I don't know if it was a matter of a couple of days, because you gave me access to it, and I kind of tweaked some of the settings in the profile, and then I blasted it, and we never had any problems with it.
But it was just a few days. But I did put my picture up there. I did write the profile, and then I said, you know, well, now it's here. We need to beef it up so it looks, you know, good with the Super Connector. And then you did that, and within a few days, it was Super Connector. So
yeah, exactly.
John has a question. Do you use different pictures for each of your profiles?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a different, you know, a different headshot.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, it's still you, but it's just, you know, different pictures. I would recommend that. And then I have a couple of bullets on a slide that I'll kind of go over some of the workarounds and some of the recommendations just to be safe. Because again, there's nothing on here that says you can't have more than one profile. It just says that you can't lie and be dishonest and misrepresent yourself.
Keith, I don't understand what that means. John, there's nothing wrong with being extremely highly paid flunky. Lyle, I think that's what we're saying. Evelyn, you need to friend me at Facebook. I'm at facebook.com/Lee Cole Online, all one word. Raymond, I think we talked about that, and I'm just going through the chat here to kind of catch up. Chuck, awesome. There are not that many of us. Chuck's an Eagle Scout too.
Oh, nice.
Could this other system be the Mark? Can't comment on that. Mark's dying to know what the other LinkedIn software is.
Yeah, there's tons of them out there, and yeah, I've not used them. The only software that I've ever used has been ours.
Yeah.
And I can tell you the reason why I like it is because what we did is we took our manual processes and just automated what we normally do manually. And all three of us, Mike Jones, a developer, Lee and I are just, really big LinkedIn users, so we really know how to use it. We know what's important, and so we've kind of built that into the requirements of what we offer. So, but certainly, I mean, this is an open market. There's competition. There's others out there.
Yeah, sure. And but Gloria, I think it was with our friend Roger. We were sitting around online one time looking at LinkedIn software and trying to make it do what we thought it needed to do, and we were looking at a few, and none of them would do it. So
that's do what we needed it to do. Right. So we built our own. So
here's a
and they were for a lot higher price too. It was crazy amount every month. It was ridiculous for what it could do. Yeah, this particular one required like a premium account and all that stuff. It was just a mess.
And it wasn't going to do but 60% of what we needed.
Yeah.
LinkedIn Hero. Okay, a little more information about LinkedIn Hero. LinkedIn Hero connects your account to a lot of open connectors. Okay, now the way LinkedIn works mathematically is, so I know Gloria and I'm connected with Gloria, so she's a first tier connection. Now let's say Gloria's connected with somebody that I'm not connected to. They would be a second tier connection. Those second tier connections are where the gold is though. So if we start off and use LinkedIn Hero and connect you to a bunch of people who have big fat LinkedIn accounts, okay, those are the open connectors, people like me and Gloria. Then what that does is that's going to massively increase your second tier connections. And it really doesn't matter. It's gonna increase it so big that you could go into LinkedIn search and search for virtually anything, and you're going to find a lot of people who are second tier connections to you for virtually any business niche. I've never struck out, and I have searched some crazy business niches. So the second step with LinkedIn Hero, which we go into in the training, by the way, so you might want to look at that second step with LinkedIn Hero. Once you run Hero, then you have all of those second tier connections available, and that's when you start getting really niche specific. And that's what Consultant did, by the way. Consultant allowed you to get really niche specific. I, for instance, am really interested in connecting with commercial insurance agents, and so I run Consultant every day, and I'm adding 10 to 20 commercial insurance agents, as connections every single day. So it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. But I couldn't do that if I didn't have a bunch of those second tier connections to sort through. The LinkedIn loophole thingy. Mark, I'm not sure if I got that. What if we put lion in our subheadline? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think there doesn't seem to be an issue with it. I think they just don't like the word LinkedIn in there. If
that's
you
a trademark issue,
yeah, that seems to be it. So I'll show you my profile. I have Lion. I've had Lion in there for a while and never ever had any problems. So, and what I did, if you notice, is I have LinkedIn training in my subheader, and they didn't slap me, but they slapped that gal, which is crazy. And then I have LinkedIn training in here too. So it's just kind of crazy how they pick and choose. I have no idea. I suspect, I'm not sure. I'd be curious to know if it was a new account. So.
Yeah, I would think so.
Mhm.
Kay apparently has a restriction on that account for direct connecting with others. But Kay, what'll solve that problem is I think you've already used Hero, or at least you've already got a big account now. But what will solve that problem is if you just connect to second-tier connections, and instead of sending them a big long message that they never wanted to read anyway, if you just reach out and connect with them before you start sending them marketing messages. Okay, so
Yeah, yeah,
that
exactly.
that's the thing. You really want your marketing messages. This may help clear this up some. You really want your marketing messages just to go to your first tier connections.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's really not anything LinkedIn can say about that. And now the first tier connection might get bent out of shape because for some reason they think that even though you're first tier, you should read their mind about what they want to read and what they want to show up in their inbox. I mean, I actually
Mhm.
had someone not totally get bent out of shape, but say, well, you did this and you did that, and would you not do that? And I say, yeah, I'd solve that problem. We're not connections anymore.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but I mean, that's just kind of like OCD over weirdness, just
Yeah,
over
yeah,
protecting
exactly.
weirdness. That's just stupid, that's getting mad at somebody because they walked up to you in Chamber of Commerce meeting and they wanted to talk to you about commercial real estate, and you got ticked off because they couldn't read your mind and figure out that you weren't interested in commercial real estate. So
Mhm.
you can't control the rest of the world. But
Yeah.
but Kay, the thing is,
Let me go back here.
if you will do it like this, if you will figure out who you want to connect to, groups, okay, business types, locations, whatever it is, figure out who you want to
Mhm.
connect to, go connect to those second tier connections. Okay, and you can do that through LinkedIn Consultant, or you can do it manually on that page that Gloria has in front of you right now on the screen. All right,
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm.
there, you can do it through keywords, you can do it through groups, or you can do it through using Consultant. Either way, but if you will connect with those second tier connections, and only when they become your first tier connection is when you start the marketing process.
Mhm.
Because, when you accept someone's invite, you're really giving them permission to talk to you, right?
Right.
Now, they may not be, you may not read their thing, but I mean, you're giving them permission. You're opening up the pipeline for communication here. That's what this
Mhm.
is all about. So it's totally cool. Someone's a first tier connection. It's totally cool for them to send me something and say, hey, Lee, you might be interested in this. Well, I'm probably not interested in it, but it's totally cool that they did that.
Mhm.
I mean, how are they supposed to know and how am I supposed to know, right? So if you will do that with your second tier connections, Kay, I think that will solve that general problem that you have there.
Mhm.
Mark says, ease into success rather than force it like a Ford Ram on meth. I could not have said that better myself.
Well, yes, well said, exactly. So, yeah, if you look at, I just did a search. I searched for Open Connector Second Connections. What you would want to do is, so this guy says, I am not an open connector. I would definitely not connect with him if he's not. He says he's not an open connector, yeah. But then what you want to do is you just want to go ahead. Like this guy, I'm an open connector, always looking. I'm an open networker, so this probably would be someone good. Just, hit connect. And this is kind of what the software does for you. Except it does it in an automated fashion. It does it with a lot of them, kind of it just sends them out there at the same time. So that's all you want to do initially is you don't want to like do a marketing message or anything like that. Just go ahead and hit connect. And then what will happen is, they'll probably check out your profile. If they want to connect with you, they'll connect with you back. Usually open connectors will. And then, that's when you start the conversation, basically. You don't want to start with connecting with this big marketing message because that, I think, will get you in trouble quicker than anything. So.
Yeah, that's the thing is the thing is unsolicited marketing messages for us as marketers, unsolicited marketing messages to second and third tier connections.
Hmm.
That's what you really don't want to do. You know, one, LinkedIn's not going to like it, but two, it just makes you look stupid.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. So let's continue on because it's a Friday evening and I don't want to go completely, really,
Yeah.
really long. So I think we talked about intellectual property and the branding guidelines. They really don't like you using like SlideShare, LinkedIn Pulse, LinkedIn, anything like that. We talked about this. Don't send invitations to people who don't know you. Don't post unsolicited or unadvertised junk mail. Don't spam people. That I think, is a good thing. Send messages to distribution lists, newsgroup aliases, or anything like that. So this is all basically about spam. Don't send anybody anything that would have a virus or anything like that in there. Don't try to operate a scam or a scheme, like those Nigerian type of situations. And then, you've got don't copy and use other people's information except as you are authorized to do in the terms of service. This is about protecting the data on LinkedIn. This is about protecting LinkedIn Works. And it says don't reverse engineer, decompile, disassemble or decipher basically their algorithm. They don't want you breaking their algorithm. Okay, don't say that you are affiliated with LinkedIn in any way. Don't basically sell LinkedIn data that you have. Don't try to monetize a group on LinkedIn or other feature of the services without LinkedIn's consent. Now you can still monetize a group on LinkedIn if you have a group, but it's not like, okay, I'm going to charge you $20 a month just for belonging to this group. It's what you want to do is if you have a group and the group is very active, like I know of a guy that has a group. He does marketing services for plumbers, and he has a group of like 500 or 600 plumbers all over the place, and they're asking him for marketing advice, and he does marketing consulting or something like that, and then they may hire him, to do some marketing for them, basically. So something like that is good. You have a captive audience. It's fantastic to do. So again, this is all about protection. Deep link to our services for any purpose other than to promote your profile or group on LinkedIn. Again, it's talking about the brand guidelines. Any copyright or trademark of anybody's, you don't want to remove those trademark notices. Like, Nike's trademark, don't do anything with that is what they're saying. Show it as it was intended. This is about, let me see, remove or obscure any advertisement included on the services. So I don't know, Lee, what do you take that as meaning? It's kind of vague to me.
Which one? I was busy adding people to the Facebook group.
Remove, cover, or obscure any advertisement included on the services. I'm not sure what services, if they're talking about LinkedIn services or
obscure.
Yeah.
That would be something like if you, I don't even know how
Yeah,
you do
that.
Like if you could take part of LinkedIn and just sort of, frame it into something else
Oh,
and
yeah,
get rid of
okay,
part of it.
okay. Yeah.
I guess you could do that. I mean,
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Don't copy or transfer any information obtained from LinkedIn without their permission. Share or disclose information of others without their express consent. Use manual automated software. I think we talked about that. Use bots. We talked about that. Monitor the service's availability, performance, or functionality for any competitive purpose. This is kind of interesting. So they don't want you basically doing anything like reverse, so you could reverse engineer LinkedIn or its functionality. Don't try to, when they talk about framing or mirroring, to me what they're saying here is the LinkedIn services, it's kind of like pretending like you're LinkedIn, for the most part. All right, so I guess if you could do something like that. I don't know what the purpose of that would be. Don't override any security features, interfere with the operation or place of unreasonable load on the services. So don't do any type of, kind of like hacker attacks on it, denial of service or anything like that. And then now they're talking about slide shares, guidelines and stuff. So pretty much, I think in a nutshell, what they're saying here is don't abuse, LinkedIn. Don't use it for evil. Use it for good. Don't violate their trademark, that type of thing. Don't spam people. Don't pretend like you're somebody that you're not. If you notice in here, they don't say anything about you can't have more than one profile, which leads me to what I wanted to go ahead and talk about. Lee, would it be okay to pull up both of your profiles since my other profile is not done? One of your other profiles?
Yeah, sure. Let's make
okay.
it the whatever. Hang on.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and change presenter, right? Make you the presenter.
Let's see.
There we go.
Hang on.
Here we go.
Show my screen. I'm actually on Facebook, but I was adding people in. So here's one profile, and what does that say? What is that? Okay, that's just a home page. Let's see if we can find the other one. I can only be logged into one at a time.
Yeah.
I could, in theory, open a new browser.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, because what I wanted to do, this is kind of some of the workarounds. If you notice, he's got 2 different photos in there.
Both with sunglasses, though. There doesn't exist a picture of me without sunglasses.
Yeah, and if you look at the current and previous, like current, he just says Lee Cole, current is self-employed, which is true. Those are kind of all true, and so he's just framing it in a different way. So he's got his current employment, and if you have, you have a couple of different businesses, I know, Lee's got a couple of different businesses, so do I. It's okay to do those as, current experience and just stack them up whenever you're doing your experience summaries, basically, in your LinkedIn profile. Now, what I would do, for example, I have my company is LLC, and then I have a DBA. And so, for me, I could list on one profile the DBA, and then on the other profile the LLC, and it would be truthful. Okay, that's the kind of stuff, so you kind of want to differentiate it a little bit, and it's perfectly okay, it's truthful to emphasize one part of your business or one business on one profile and then another business on another profile. It's perfectly okay as long as it's, kind of you're telling the truth, basically, which
yeah.
he is.
I am, because I do everything. I actually do more than on these 2 profiles, but it just doesn't really make sense to another person that one person would do all of this. And you just have to focus it. These are actually kind of sort of aimed at the same thing, but we do a lot of experimentation on LinkedIn with profiles, with keywords, with how things are written. We're constantly tweaking things and trying stuff out and seeing what works and what doesn't work, which is good, because that's why we've got a lot of experience that we bring to helping people like you guys, and also that we bring to software. So yeah, both of these are really aimed at the same thing. It's just that they're coming from 2 different avenues and aimed at 2 different target audiences.
Exactly. Yeah.
This one's aimed at individuals. Okay. This is aimed at people. Well, it tells you who it's aimed at. Look, it's aimed at business owners, entrepreneurs, freelancers, and independent salespeople. So that one's a little more tightly focused, talking about issues that I know for a fact all those people have, because I have them, okay, and then have had them for years.
Yeah, yeah. So these are just ways that you can differentiate yourself. Because we are multifaceted people. A lot of us are multitasking, and we have a couple of different um, businesses slash careers going on
Yeah.
at the same time. I get those like support tickets all the time about that, and it's perfectly okay on Profile A to emphasize that one business that's going after that one target audience. What you can do is what I would recommend in your experience is go ahead and put what you want to emphasize as your most recent experience, and then list the others, that type of thing. And then what I would recommend doing is, where you can make your summary obviously a little bit different, your images different, your headings and stuff, you're going to be targeting different people, so do that. Those are some workarounds, and I think that's kind of the bottom line is
Exactly.
you want to be able to be truthful. It's okay to target two separate audiences, two separate niches, two separate verticals, whatever it is, but you want to be truthful in doing that. I would recommend also, just to be safe, and like I haven't done this in a while, I think over 6 months, but I'm going to go ahead and do it just to be safe, is I'm going to go ahead and back up my contacts and back up my profile. Just copy and paste my profile, and just to be safe. And that way, should something ever happen with my LinkedIn account, then what I can do is I can just reconnect and
Right.
just slap my profile up, and then I can reconnect with people, and I can say, yeah, I had a little issue with LinkedIn. I wasn't doing anything bad. They shut down my account. We've been first level connections, and I'd like to reconnect with you. Something like that, basically. And
Yeah.
how you can go ahead and download your connections. Again, don't do it to spam people, but you go to your connections, you just click connections, and then you go to settings,
Yeah.
and then right here is where you would export your LinkedIn
You
connections.
just go here, and then I actually did this today.
Oh, sorry, I'm sharing my
Yeah, yeah.
screen. Sorry.
I figured you
Duh.
were because you said, and then go here, and I thought, well, we that's cool, but we can't see that here. So then there's a little gear somewhere
Yeah,
where
it's right up, it's go
go to
right
webinar
directly.
boxes. Oh, here we go. My go to
Yeah,
webinar
go,
box was in front of it. So you go there, and then you export LinkedIn connections right
yeah,
there,
exactly. Yep.
and that'll give you the whole thing. See, over 3,000 now. Bam.
Hmm.
So cool beans. Yeah, you guys should do that anyway. I mean, if you're living
Just to
under
be
the
safe.
fiction that this is the internet, all right? If you're living under the fiction that every day when you wake up that things are going to be the same as when you went to sleep, you just hadn't been doing internet marketing that long. So any kind of internet marketing, you should do that anyway. So
Hmm.
that's good practice. Because LinkedIn
Yeah,
could,
just
get bought out by somebody and then they decide that they want to do something else with something, like Facebook. Facebook used to be, I'm not that it's bought out, but Facebook used to be really great for reaching out to people that you didn't know. Now it's really horrid for reaching out to people that you didn't know. It's a great way to get put in Facebook jail really fast. So
hmm.
things change rapidly.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that's really the bottom line about this. And this way, you're kind of informed. I encourage all of you guys to go ahead and read the terms of service, or the user agreement is what it's called now,
Mhm.
and just get a good understanding of it so that you know for your clients, be safe, use common sense. If it's a brand new account, go ahead and just let it percolate for a couple of days in a phased manner like you normally would. Don't be afraid when you get clients to let them know that, yeah, it'll take 3 to 5
Yeah.
days to get turnaround time, basically, especially if it's a new a new account. So,
Julie just got here. Julie had car trouble.
oh dear.
Tons of great information on here, Julie. As soon as it's over, we're going to download it, put it up on YouTube, and I'm going to have it inside the Facebook group for LinkedIn Hero. So if you're not in that group, then you need to friend me, and I'll write this in here for you in a second, but you need to friend me at facebook.com/Lee Cole Online. Then send me a message and say, Lee, would you put me in the group, and I'll put you in the group. when we get this up on YouTube, I mean, it's, it's not a paid thing, so there's no reason to protect it. When this is just, we thought y'all needed this information. When we get it up on YouTube, I'll pop the link in there. Y'all can click on that and go over to YouTube and look at it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So Julie, if you would do all of the above, you'll get access to this.
Yep. Yep.
Anything else, guys, while we got...
Yep. Any last minute questions?
Way, I'll talk to Gloria about that. Anything else? Cool. I think we're good to go. Julie, I'm going to just take 1 second and give you my profile on Facebook. So it's just my name, Lee Cole Online. So facebook.com/Lee Cole Online. So if you will go there, and I can see my little Facebook numbers getting bigger as we speak, I'll go over there and get the rest of y'all in there. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great evening. Hope you enjoyed this. Gloria, thank you so much. This is incredible information.
Yeah, I hope it was helpful, guys. Communicate with us and reach out to us in the Facebook group. We're pretty available there, available to answer questions and stuff like that, and looking forward to seeing you in there.
See y'all later.
All right, bye.